Hi, I'm Dana and I'm shiny and sweaty because it's hot and we're both just going to have to live with it, okay? So for today's video, I thought we'd talk about something that I've been essentially just ruminating on every few months for most of my life. Because I realised at quite a young age, my mum don't like being nice to people. Like, as much as she could pretend to be kind to people and do people favours to get something in return, and she could make people like her, she also, when it felt safe for her to do so and there wouldn't be any negative consequences, she was horrible about people. Like, some of the meanest things that I've ever heard said about anybody in the world have come from my mother and have been directed at me for some of them. Most of the people that were directly around her really liked her, but being the person that was there all the time for a lot of my life, those people would eventually leave. Her friends would go home, she would get home from work and not be around her colleagues. And she just, everybody that my mother knew, she had something bad to say about them. Everybody. There was nobody that she couldn't sit and shit talk for 2 hours after they'd gone home. And it could be about anything ever. And it's one of those things where I feel like a lot of people can be like that. She definitely wasn't the only member of my family that was like that. It was sort of a family trait, really, that if we were together and someone who wasn't quite part of the family or was a family member that was deemed a little bit not great, I'm sure they did it to me as well when I left places, but the moment they were gone, it was just a complete shit talking sesh. But one of the things that really bothered me for I'd say probably from the age of 14 when I started to develop my own sense of self and be oh, I don't have to be exactly like my mother. That was the age that I noticed how mean she would be about strangers. And that's always been weird to me because I don't tend to notice random people out and about all that much, you know? But when I was with my mother, I would, because we'd just be some of the moments that I remember the most clearly was when we were just walking across car parks to go into a shop and she would notice some random fucking poor lady and she'd look her up and down and they could be a fair distance away and she'd really lean into me and it'd be this little conspiratorial thing between the two of us and she'd be I'm not that fat, am I? I'm not as fat as that person. And I obviously, as her daughter, I'd be of course you're not that big, she's massive, she's huge, of course you're nowhere near that size. And that was one of the moments where she got the validation from me, she got what she wanted out of me, because she would ask it about people who were very obviously significantly bigger than her, so it was very easy for me to just be honest and be no, you're not. But as I got older, and especially once I reached my 20s, it was when I reached my 20s and I was going up to see her every single day, and every single day we would be sat out back smoking and having cups of tea, and the entire conversation would just be about how the immigrants are ruining the country, trans people are trying to get into our bathrooms, every bit of shitty propaganda being pumped out by the UK, fucking shit newspapers and shitty online websites. My family were a Facebook family, so they would just read shit on Facebook and that was their topic for the day, was just whatever Nigel fucking Farage had recently said, and I would just be sat there. And it's the constant choice of, do I speak up because they are being genuinely racist and transphobic and you know, it's not looking at someone and having your insecurity come out and be do I look like that? You know, it's not insecurity based in the slightest, it's just the way that I think of horrible people being, you know? So I was most of the conversations that I had with my family for the last 4 years that I was speaking to them, I would be sat there saying fuck all, and then eventually they would say something that I just found to be so fucking heinous that I would be no, that's actually very that's disgusting actually. The amount of times I looked my mother or my brother dead in the eye and told them that is a disgusting opinion to carry about people, I can't believe you just said that, and they would just laugh, they did not give a single shit. And it was things like that where I just didn't understand how they were being so fucking awful. And I would so often listen to stuff and hear the things they were saying and think God, if I could just sit here and agree and be yeah, we should just push boats of asylum seekers back out to water and, you know, maybe they drown, maybe they don't, it's not our issue anymore. I genuinely wish so badly that I could have that type of moral opinion so that I could just bond with my family and be a part of them, but I just can't. I don't understand how you are thinking that is an okay thing to think or say, or any conceptualization of that, I don't understand. And especially last August when my mum died, I obviously automatically went over a lot of the memories that I have with her, which I don't want to say it's not that many because I went and saw my mum every single day for 4 or 5 years. She was there for like very nearly the entirety of my childhood, other than like 5 months, I think, when we first moved to Denmark. Like, you know, she is a part of the majority of my memories, but I was trying to bring up like pleasant memories, like nice times that we'd spent together. And the majority of times that I could think of from my teen years where I'd felt like I was bonding with my mum and we were having a nice time and she was actually engaging with me, because that was a big one. Like, my mum prided herself on, like, I've watched all of Dana's little shows, I've watched all the little movies that she likes, I've heard all the little bands that she likes. And it's like, yeah, but you don't engage with them whatsoever. Like, if I was like, who's Bilbo Baggins, you wouldn't know. Like, you sat and watched the entirety of the Lord of the Rings extended director's cut fucking trilogy, and you've watched all of the Hobbit films in the cinema, and you haven't retained any single moment of it. Like our family's thing for the majority of my life was that we all went to see the new Harry Potter films together, and when the new books came out we went and bought them and read them, and like that was our family thing that we did as a family. And she never once in my entire life said Draco Malfoy properly. It was always that Malfoy boy, and I'm like, where's the D coming from? Is he related to typhoid? Like, whatever. Like, I don't give a shit about Harry Potter anymore for obvious reasons, but you know, like, it so rarely felt like my mother was actually engaging with me. Like, she was there, she was doing the thing that a good mother is supposed to do, but there was no fucking emotion coming off her. It wasn't any sort of bonding experience. Like, I had an absolute obsession with Sweeney Todd for many years, and that was, I watched it every morning before school and every day when I got home from school. So this woman sat through this movie like dozens upon dozens of times. I remember her watching it with me like maybe twice. And I remember multiple times that she'd try to like make jokes that related back to it, and she just, like, I would be so confused because they didn't actually have the context of relating back to it. And she'd be like, you know, Sweeney Todd, I'd be like, okay. Because like, she just didn't engage with me, she just didn't absorb any of it. Like, she was there, but no one was fucking home. And the times that I remember her like genuinely engaging with me and feeling like we were bonding, and like there was an emotional like thing forming, like, the moments that I remember thinking like, oh, this is like in the films, this is like in movies when like teenagers bond with their parents, that's what's happening here, you know, it excited me, it felt like a good thing. And looking back on them now, I'm like, it was every time I had a falling out with a friend, and as like a 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old, I wasn't trying to see things from their perspective, I wasn't trying to understand where they were coming from. I was just like, and she fucking did this because she's a little fucking bitch, and then she went and told this person this, and she fucking said this about me, and my mum would be like, oh my god, what a bitch, tell me more. You know, like, she would get as into it as I was, and she would be like following up and giving extra insults to these like 13, 14, 15-year-old girls that were my peers that I was having arguments with, you know. And they're the only times that I remember my mum like really genuinely engaging with me and being like in conversation with me, where I didn't feel like I was just like having to completely dissociate, because I was like, where the fuck is this shit coming from? Who the fuck are you? How am I raised by these people? So I feel like I've sort of given you the good examples there of strangers, people that she was close to, and just the only time she engaged with me was when I was being a bitch, you know. And like, I'm not like I was such a bitch, like I don't feel like I was a particularly horrible teenager, but like I say, I definitely wasn't trying to like actually resolve the situation. I was just fucking mad about it and being horrible, and she joined in and enjoyed that with me. And it's one of the things that does like kind of break my heart a little bit. But I do feel like if I'd just been a bitch, if I could have just lowered my moral standing or whatever, lowered my like opinion of how people should behave and how people should treat each other, if I'd just been fucking horrible, I think she would have liked me a lot more. I think we would have had a lot more of those bonding moments. I think that's, you know, in large part why she was so much closer to my brother and showed him so much favouritism, was that they had the same fucking awful opinions. So every time she said something that would have me like, the fuck, he was there validating that and be like, yeah, I agree, you're right. And it was a similar thing with my brother as well, to be fair. Like, I do feel like if I could have just been more of an asshole and also ignored how much he just fucking blatantly lied, we could have gotten on really well, you know? But again, that's the thing of like me sitting here and being like, if I could have just completely masked and hidden the person I am and pretended to be someone else, then my family would have liked me and it would have all been okay. And it's like, yeah, but see, that like the version of myself that I was with my family was still me. Like I say, like I couldn't lower my moral standard and just like not say things, and like especially when my mum was working in university and she'd be like saying horribly transphobic and like homophobic things about the students as though she didn't have her fucking openly gay daughter sat right there. Like, I just couldn't keep my fucking mouth shut. And on the one hand, I'm like, I shouldn't have had to, because she should have fucking been learning and thinking about things and like, what the fuck. But yeah, like I spent so many years like truly desperate for a relationship with my mother, and I just couldn't be enough of a fucking cunt to do it. That's what it boils down to. And especially like when I think about my family now, one of the main things I wonder is what my mum told them about me. Because like I said, like towards the start, they talked shit about each other. Like my entire family talked shit about each other all the fucking time. You know, like they'd be so nice to each other's faces and all hugs and oh my god, we should do this more often. And the moment they left, it would be insults about their weight, insults about the way they look, insults about their job, insults about how they were choosing to parent. Like just nothing nice was said the moment they were out the door. And between me trying really hard to have a relationship with my mother and make it nice, and her trying to present herself as like the perfect mother, the perfect family, we had everything going just right. You know, like most of my family thought that we were really close and we were like best friends and like nothing would ever damage us and we were like the perfect part of the family and whatever else. I think, you know, that's definitely what my mum was trying to project to people. Whether they picked up on what was really going on or not, I don't really know. But given they all continued talking to her and no one ever said anything, like, I'm gonna assume so. So it went from us having this, like, perfect mother-daughter relationship and being so much better than the rest of the family, literally overnight, to me just not speaking to her ever again, even though she was unwell, you know? So I do massively fucking wonder what was said about me and what went on there. But I'm probably never going to know. And it also, like, chances are, it wasn't fucking nice, because nothing she ever said was fucking nice. And it's a little bit off topic for this video really, but it's just really fucking bizarre when you're from a family like that. And I'm sure a bunch of you like relate and understand, and especially with like everything currently going on in the world. Like one of the big like defining moments of like I don't like my family was when they were all trying to convince me to vote to leave in Brexit, and they all voted that and like were really fucking proud of themselves and had a celebratory barbecue when they won. Like that was when I really knew shit was like that wasn't gonna last forever, you know? So I feel like especially with like current climates happening, more people are probably going to be experiencing this and realising it about their families and stuff. And I just like from a fairly young age, just because I didn't fit in other ways, I sort of questioned how the fuck this was my family. Like I remember being quite young and asking my parents like, was I adopted? Did you like get the wrong baby from the hospital? Like you're 100% sure that I'm your kid? 100, okay. You know, like I don't feel that's necessarily a normal thing for a kid to be wondering and asking. And especially as I got into like my teen years and my early 20s, I don't understand how the shit I was related to those people, you know? Like I at least somewhat understand it with my dad, because he didn't really go downhill in his moral opinions until he was like really fucking unwell, and it's like you're not even sometimes remembering to get out of your car before you start sleeping, so I'm gonna let you off with some of this shit because you've always been a very like standing in the things that I believe kind of person. Like a lot of my beliefs and thoughts on the world definitely come from my dad. So him being horribly racist for 2 years, I am a bit more willing to let slide. It's one of those things where it's not up to me to let it slide, I know, and like it's a whole thing and it's really fucking horrible, but he was literally losing the fucking plot, you know? Like it's weird and horrible and I didn't fucking enjoy it, and it definitely made me judge him a lot more, but he also died very soon after and wasn't all together with it. Whereas my mother had it going on for years and years and years before she got unwell, and my brother was completely fine and young and had no fucking reason. It's just that they were really fucking horrible people in many, many different ways. And it will always, always upset me a little bit that if I could have just been an asshole and been really ignorant and just not cared about anybody but myself, I probably would have been able to get on with them and have a relationship. And I just couldn't do it. And it feels like a failing on my part when they were the ones being horrible people. So yeah, that's the video for today. It's one of those things that I think like when it comes up for me, it's always going to frustrate me, but it's the kind of thing that used to have me like sat on the floor crying, you know? So I'm like processing it and dealing with it to be able to make a video like this. So that's all I had to say. If you have anything to add to this discussion, if you have any thoughts from like your own experiences or from what I've said or whatever else, I would love it if you commented down below. I'm pretty sure comments and likes and that kind of thing help me out in the algorithm. I don't really know, but you can do whatever the fuck you want. That's the nice thing about the internet. I'm doing this, and in like tomorrow I'll post it, and then you can do whatever the fuck you want after you see it. Like, nothing's real time, you can do what you want. So if you wanted to do that, you can. If you want to like and subscribe, that's what I just said. You can also find me over on TikTok, Instagram or Blue Sky. I have started posting a little bit more on Instagram and TikTok. I've already posted a TikTok today, which will have been yesterday if you're watching this right when it comes out, and I'm about to go and do an Instagram post, so you can do that. You can also find me on Ko-fi or Patreon if you want to help me out financially, because I'm working class and about to have to move house and I'm very scared about it, and it's going to cost me a lot of money that I literally do not have currently, and I don't have any way of getting it, so I don't really know what I'm going to do, but I'm sure I'll figure it out whatever happens. So there isn't actually any pressure, but I am giving you the tale. I'm giving you my X Factor sob story essentially, but I'm not going to sing for you. Not today at least. So whoever you are, wherever you are, you'll be on a lovely morning, evening, day, afternoon, week, month, year, and I will see you again in a couple of days.